Hey everyone, my name is Fiona Connor. Welcome along to another Phoenix Firebrands. We're down at Saxon and Parole today, and I am so excited to be chatting to the Kiwi music extraordinaire Kings. So obviously 2016, you burst into the music scene with Don't Worry About It. Can you tell me a little bit about what it was like to be living through that success? What sort of work and time and effort had you sort of been putting in behind the scenes to be able to get to that space?
Yeah, so it was a tough transition. I never really had any success prior to that song. I'd had a couple songs here and there with Dan Ox, Sipping Yak, kind of things like that on Georgia FM. So to really have a song that connected as my first official song was a challenge, man. It was tough.
How much sort of time and effort goes into yourself as an artist before you are actually in a place where you can release a song like that does so well? Had you been working on music, what were the early days looking like?
Man, yeah, the early days. I was a dad at the time, so it looked like stress, a lot of stress. You never really know, in music it's kind of one of those things, like you can write what you think is the best hit, but until people really connect with it, it's what it is. So I'm very grateful for the support that I had coming up, and I think just the drive of being a solo dad, and if I was going to do music, I had to take it seriously. It was a combination of those things that got me to that point, I think.
When you were sort of starting out, and you envisioned yourself as a music artist, what did that look like? What did you want to be doing to create things that people actually resonated with? Was it about creating music that people connected with, or was it about having lyrics that were powerful and meant something and had meaning? Like, when you were envisioning that self, what were you thinking about, and are you fulfilling that at the moment?
At the beginning, there was no goal. At the beginning, it was just to create. I was just writing to write. As I've grown in the industry, yeah, I've gotten a lot better at navigating myself through this game, but there's still an element of, fuck it, I love this, and I think that'll be forever. I always write songs that I love first, but there's also a strategy involved now that I understand a bit more about the game.
Yeah.
I understand radio and I understand things, so I'd say 50-50.
Yeah, to be able to sort of have that success though, what sort of attributes do you think you need? For anyone to sort of pursue their passion in life, what are some qualities that you think are important?
You gotta have kahunas, man.
Yeah.
You gotta have something that's unattainable, I think. If it's about money, then you'll get your first deal and be done. You made your money. You could be trying to top a chart. Once you top a chart, you're done. So for me, it's legacy, and I want to be able to bring my people up. When I say my people, multi-Polynesian, up through my art. So that's something that would never stop, So I think if you can reach for something that's just esoteric and way up there, you have a better shot than money or fame or some dumb shit.
Obviously, juggling being a dad and a sort of successful music artist must come with some sort of challenges. Can you talk a bit about where the focus is in terms of navigating the balance and how you sort of greet each challenge as it sort of comes up? She obviously comes first, but then you've got this career that you're really excited about, so I imagine that you kind of have to divide your time pretty carefully.
Yeah, man, it's tough. Shout out to the grandparents always, it's funny, I say it a lot, I'm being a solo dad, but man, my mum and dad are there where they can be to help me out, so it comes down to prioritizing, it's just real, can she afford, or can I afford to not go to this netball game to see her at the finals, or can I see her go to this Muay Thai training, can I miss that training to do an interview like this and then go home and spend the night with her? So it's just about navigating the waters well and trying to, hopefully you don't mess her up along the way.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for parents who are sort of trying to pursue a career at the same time as, spending just as much time with their kids?
Sacrifice, man. You have to be willing to sacrifice something to get something. You can't go into the world and get something for free. You have to sacrifice something. Sometimes an arm, sometimes a leg.
Yeah.
It's part of the game.
Let's go back to the beginning a little bit of, for you as a kid yourself, what did that look like? What kind of kid were you like?
I was a little shit. Yeah, man. I was a little. I was a tutu, man. Always made noise. I dropped out of school when I was quite young. It's just a play out, man. Playful kid, very angry kid. I was in anger management from a young age too, so expressive, I guess.
And then when did sort of a love for music start to develop?
That's always been there. I feel like rhythmically I've always had some sort of rhythm, but musically, in terms of melodies and sounds, I had a 5-string guitar. They usually come in 6, so for anyone who doesn't know that. And I used to play jingles and learn riffs on TV, the Pizza Hut song and things like this. And that was kind of how I developed. So it was always just me tutoring, me playing around. It was never really something I took seriously until later in my life.
Yeah, and then what were some active steps that you took sort of to start to pursue a career in the music industry?
So I left school young. I was 15, 16 when I left school, very young. And my mum kind of saw that I had a knack for music, so she put me into Mains. Shout out to Mains. I don't know if I want to shout out Mains actually, but I will shout. We'll shout out Mains. No, we will. And so I went to a music audio institute at a young age. That was the first step, but that wasn't my step, that was my mum's step. So I was lucky in that regard.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then what are sort of some challenges that you've had to face and navigate throughout the music industry? Like, you know, you got, I mean, I don't want to say you got lucky with that song, but you know, there are a lot of music artists that would not find that sort of success in the same way that you did. What were some sort of challenges that you faced in terms of actually getting to that moment?
Yeah, so for that song, you're right, man. Firstly, you're right. Like, there's an amount of luck, maybe not the word, but there's a level of whoa.
Yeah.
Like, and I think for me, like that song is literally called "Don't Worry About It" because I was in a time where I was like broke, I had no cash, and I needed to say that to myself. Like the opening lines, "Run free, boy, run free." That's what I would have said to the young me. I'm saying that.
Yeah.
And I think that just resonated in a way with a lot of people wishing they could say that to the younger self. So it hit. Sometimes it hits. You can do all the right work toward doing it, hitting it not hit, or you can sit and fuck a time there and then it hits. And that's kind of what happened for me.
Yeah, and so sort of since then you've had hit after hit, and you've definitely been a constant in the Kiwi music charts.
I've learned a lot, yeah.
So what do you sort of take from a lesson from the success of that song when you're in the writing process now? You know, is there a method to creating a smash hit like that, or what did you learn?
Man, so I was signed to Warner Music when I dropped that song. I learned how a label works. Yeah. That's what I learned. Like, the radio runs, the way that they do things, the way that they would get you as an interviewer to ask me these questions to make them look this good. And so I understood the game different. It wasn't just a song. There's a lot of marketing that goes behind this stuff. There's a lot of techniques. There's a lot of studio and social tricks. I learned that early. I think that's what I take now. It's not just a song. It's a lot more than a song.
Can you talk a little bit about, I guess, one of the learnings, you know, and having that label experience, then deciding to go independent, which I think is a huge part of your success now, and definitely a big part of your story. What did it take to do that, and what does that actually look like? Can you sort of tell us, like, when we hear the word independent artist, what does that actually mean?
In today's scope?
Yeah.
Oh man. Like, I think, like a lot of work, a lot of work, and a lot of return as well. Like. A label has a team specific to social media. They have a team specific to radio. So when you take that team away and you're left with you really start to understand how much work is involved. And you actually start to appreciate labels like, wow, you guys are great at your jobs. That's why you're who you are. And so I think the skill set that I learned, again, was just from taking what major labels did and adapting it to what I can do, which is nowhere near as much as them, but enough to take this little pie, take my pie. Which is actually a big pie, even though it's a little pie, if that makes sense.
And so I guess, you know, being independent, you're looking after, you know, like your own touring press, and you're doing your own distribution, and I can imagine that there would have been a number of challenges to sort of, you know, stand your ground, or I don't know, it must be tempting to go down the label route when you know, you've had as much success as you. What is the main driver to sort of keep that independence? Yeah. And, you know, why is it important to you?
Well, firstly, labels, I'm not attracted to labels. I don't think labels, like, we're in such a weird time, man. You could have a TikTok account and smash it in a matter of, weeks. So, that's easy to say, but.
What would your advice be for someone who's starting out in the music industry when it comes to making a decision whether to go with a label? What sort of consideration do you think that someone needs to take into account?
Right. Firstly, lawyer up. That's first and foremost. You have to understand, this industry is tough, man. I think a lot of people brush how insane this industry is, We're only kind of getting a glimpse of how tough it is on a, say, male to female perspective, with a lot more females wanting lineups that have more females in it. So you think about that struggle for females, then think about it on this has been a game for years. This game is built on skeletons of artists. So you have this hierarchy that's like well embedded and truly embedded into the game. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful, but you also have to, if I was going to give any advice to an independent, I would say do it with the intention to win. Don't half do this, because you need everything if you're going to do it.
Yeah. In terms of the success and having songs, constantly, what does it take a person to be able to stick out at something? Like obviously persistence and having that determination and that drive. What are some of the key things for you that have helped you sort of not give up or not look at those challenging moments and be like, it's too hard?
I feel like I'm an alien in that regard. I don't sleep that much. A lot of people want sleep more than they want this, and I want this more than I want sleep. So it's hard to put that into words, but I really want this. I really want this for my kids. I want generational wealth so that my daughter's able to be fine. It's deeper than just me.
Yeah. Let's talk about some collaborations. When you're looking at going into the studio with someone, what are you looking for in a collaborator in terms of a songwriter or an artist that you're teaming up with for a track?
I've only recently started collaborating. My first couple of projects, I didn't collaborate with many people. Yeah. I kind of get social anxiety in a writing room. I'm nervous that I'm not supposed to be in that room sometimes. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, definitely. Yeah, and it's tough because I'm that guy too. I got the hits, but I'm still scared to write with people. So it's a weird double thing that happens. But anyone who is open is a great collaborator. If you've got an open mind, you're a good collaborator.
Who's your dream collaboration? And maybe a Kiwi music artist who you'd love to work with one day?
I work with most people I want to work with, man. I was with Stan yesterday. Stan Walker's a good friend of mine, but also just a great artist. I look up to him and what he does for our people. It's crazy. Yeah. Matt Sadgrove at Sons Boys, we did some stuff. Oh man,
What about internationally?
Yeah, internationally, it's funny, but there's these dudes on YouTube that are they're in a train station. I don't even know they are. Uh-huh. And they sing and doo-wop and shit. Yeah. Those guys. Yeah. I don't even think they have a YouTube account, but those guys. Let's work with them.
Nice. What do you think people can learn from your story and from your journey? And not giving up and being the dad and juggling that with the career. What do you think if you were sort of to look back at the success? What are some of the things that you think people could maybe learn, apply to themselves?
I'm not sure, man. I would like to think that I'm inspiring to youth that had a similar upbringing. My upbringing wasn't fantastic. So I would hope that a young kid sees me and goes oh, if he can do it, I can do it. Yeah. That's kind of the hope. But everyone's different, man. I've met so many different people in this game, and some people love this game, some people hate it, some people make money, some people want all these things, and it's just cater your life to you is my ultimate advice, man. Cater your life to what you want to do.
Do you have goals? Do you look forward, or are there things that you can work towards?
Yeah, of course. I just shared this with a friend. I'll share it with you now. So 660 are huge, right, in New Zealand, and I follow a clinical psychiatrist called Jordan Peterson, and he talks about having a enemy or a goal. So when I say enemy, it's not in a negative term. It's in a pinpoint destination. So if I look at 660 and I'm oh man, I want to top the charts, or I want to top a 660, that gives me a beeline focus. As a local artist, what I want to achieve. So from that, it would be to top 660. Yeah. That would be on a local scene. On a broader scene, I'd love to win a Grammy. On a very broader scene, like I said, I'd love to bring my people up in the way that I know how, which is music.
Yeah. So in terms of like, you know, having those goals and then, you know, taking steps, you know, what do you do in your daily life? Like, do you think about those things and
Every day.
sort of take steps to be able to sort of get there faster?
I think about it every day. It consumes my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about what I want to do. And again, this is the people, bring my people up. I try to keep my mind fully on it.
Yeah. And when you look back sort of at the success that you've had so far, you know, is there a show or a moment on stage that really does give you a sense of pride? Or like, I know that we're all so humble in New Zealand, but is there something that you look back on and you kind of go, yep, I did that? You know, having a song on the #1 spot for 34 weeks with Don't Worry About It, surely like something that you can be proud of. But is there moments in time where you feel that?
Yeah, but they're not musical ones. They're like with my daughter. Yeah. They're not like anything crazy. Like, it's weird, but it's just, it's like when I brought our fridge. This is a good example. I brought a fridge from our house. That I cried.
Yeah.
I put food in it. My daughter's eating out of the fridge, and I'm like, whoa, that's stuff.
So that's cool. So instead, it's more of the actual tangible things that you're proud of in your life.
The things that I can do for my child. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love the awards, man. Like I love the awards nights because, as you know, it's quite fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, man, it's all for my kids. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's so good. And like when when you are performing live, do you get nervous ever?
Nah.
No, you're just fully confident.
I love it. No, it's not confidence. I'm there on purpose. Yeah, I'm supposed to be there.
I like that.
Yeah.
And in terms of like, I don't know, I feel like we just kind of talked about this a little bit before, but like self-confidence, you know, like you posted a photo the other day and you kind of like, you know, it looks like you're kind of shrinking away a little bit. Like, has that given you more confidence at all in terms of like an appearance thing, or does that not really does the outer not really change the mental side of things for you?
Nah, it's definitely like, mentally, yeah. Like it definitely, it has to. Like you see yourself in the mirror and you're like, I was 5XL and now I'm like XL. And so it's like, yes, it does definitely make you feel great. In terms of determination and what I was doing before, not really. I was always going to do it no matter what I looked like. I was heading that way. But it's nice to wake up and see your feet. There you go.
Nice. Okay, just lastly, I think I want to finish on, if you sort of like, you know, continue on this great journey that you're on, and you know, you're looking back, what is it that you're hoping to have achieved, or at its basic form, like what do you want to be remembered for? What does that legacy look like?
I think two. So the first one would be that my daughter never wants for anything ever again. That would be the first legacy. And the second legacy would be that, as I said before, that kid that had a life like me moved. He got out of bed because of what I did. That's all I could want. Like someone to see the legacy, see what I've created, see what I've done independently, and go, I can do that.
Nice.
That's it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your contribution to music. And that was Kings with Phoenix Firebrands. We'll see you next time.